Welcome everyone to what seems like we haven't done a webinar for a while now because we were leveraging the really good 30 years of GLOBE data webinar that Peder Nelson was the featured speaker at in December, on the 5th of December of last year. And our actual campaign webinar was early on in November of 2024. But today we have a really special webinar. This is a State of Trees, January 2025. And I should also say Happy New Year to everyone. This is a brief on the European Phenology 2024 Autumn Tree Campaign, including GLOBE research presentations from GLOBE Europe and Eurasia students and educators. And these students and educators are from Croatia, Georgia, and Italy. So thank you all for joining. And I'm going to do some introductory stuff now. So before we get into it, I just want everyone to, stay with me here on having our hearts and thoughts with all our friends, colleagues, and everyone affected by the California wildfires. You can see here, this is a pretty harrowing photo on the top right of showing the fires, one of the fires in California. And then below are satellite images. These are the false color images of the two major fires, the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire. And you can see here what you're looking at, those areas that are like grayish and brown. That was areas that were basically burned by these fires. So you can see the extent of this is pretty massive. And what I'm going to do now is and I don't want to put you on the spot, Peder, but Peder is at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory right there in the thick of things just outside of Los Angeles. So Peder, if you want to say anything, feel free. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. In the Eaton fire, there's a lot of people that work at Caltech and JPL that live in that area. Roughly about 80% of that city was burnt down. And including my grandparents' house, my grandmother and my aunt's house. So a lot of people are going to have to rebuild. But Californians are very strong people. They will definitely rebuild better. But we definitely have to improve our infrastructure there. But yeah, a lot of damage, a lot of structures, even the houses that still stand, there's not much infrastructure there for people. But I think California's largest fire on record. So a lot of damage, but hopefully, we were built and things will get better for us in the future.
Excellent. Thank you, Peder. Peder Nelson, would you like to say anything about this? Because I know you've been really following the satellite imagery and, with land cover and things like that, on these fires and beyond.
Oh, yeah. Brian, we've talked a lot in our webinars over the years about fires. And, it's one of these things that as a scientist, I'm really just in awe of, let me put it that way, right? Like trying to model this out. What are the physics behind it? And you can get really caught up in that kind of thing. And that's, what you can see with satellite data like this. And there's going to be a lot of people who are analyzing these pixels going into the future. You might even be some of them. There's a lot of really good technology that has been employed to try to understand this fire, both in the natural areas, but also in the residential areas. But I also myself always have to remind myself that there are people in these pixels, like Peder was saying, right? So, this is a really important part about remote sensing is recognizing the impact that your work can have. And don't just get caught up in the physics or the science behind what is happening. I mean, these are incredible pictures, right? But again, to what Peder was saying, it's how we respond as people. How do we actually use this to save people's lives or to deal with the after effects that we'll be talking about going, in the future. Peder has brought up landslides. So, to me, these are both really important events in our lives, some more than others. But, it's really important to remind yourself as you are seeing these pictures to not just get pulled in by again, that awe of technology and science that we can do, but to remember why we have done this. And part of this is to help people like Peder and his community recover. So, you know, even though you may not be in that area, there's things that we can do, like our analysis, that can empower us and pull us all together through our GLOBE community as well. So, you know, Peder, I want to highlight that as well as something that we can offer as a community. So if there's data that you need analyzed or thought about, or, you know, anything like that, you know, please come to us as a community as well, because again, that's how we connect our science to actual people and decisions, and hopefully, like Peder was saying, learn from this. And in what way? That's part of the learning, right? So thank you very much, Peder, for you know, bringing this to not only our attention, but you know, keep us apprised with how we can actually help as a community as well, even though we may not be there in person.
Thanks, Peder. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, Peder. And so everyone, you know, keep everyone there, you know, at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, everybody in Los Angeles, and especially Peder and his family, who have been, you know, several folks in his family have lost their homes due to this. So, but I just wanted to get that information out there. So, you know, thank you everyone for that. So, with that said, it's a long quote, and you know, you can feel free to read it. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it really talks about. It's by Voltaire, and you may have read some of his works. You know, from the late early 1700s. So you know, a great author. But this whole quote is talking about, you know, seeing changes and seeing evidence of change over time, and not everything appears now as it once was. So this is a really long one, so I'm not going to get into it, but you can see it in the webinar recording. But I wanted to showcase this because we have a lot to cover today with the presentations as well. So today in the agenda, we have lots of things happening. We have 4 featured presentations, and then followed by follow up with Peder Nelson talking about an event that's happening, an intensive observation period that's happening the entire month of February. So it's going to be a combination of, you know, 4 presentations from students and educators from, first we're going to start off with Lenka Kleger from the Czech Republic and the GLOBE Europe and Eurasia Regional Coordination Office, talking about the 2024 Autumn Tree Campaign. And then we will have presentations from Varaždin, Croatia, and then we will have from Georgia, and then from Italy. So we're super excited for all these. And then following each presentation today, we will have Q&A. And some of these are live presentations. One is a video presentation, but the student, Mariko, is here from Georgia, and she will be taking any question and answers on the video. They submit this video to me to play during the webinar. So this will be a super exciting webinar for everyone involved. All right, so quick little bit about metrics. Currently, we have active participants from 64 of the 127 GLOBE countries. And I say active, these are folks that attend webinars regularly, submit data, submit IVSS projects that are in relation to the Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign. So thank you to all of you. Here are the up to year 7 of the data coming in to the GLOBE database from tree height, land cover, and greenings, green up, green down. And you can see at the bottom, year 7 is where we are now. We began the 1st of October of 2024, and we continue to this day. And this runs to the 30th of September of 2025. You can see we have a great number. We have over 12,000 measurements from over 3,000 global sites. But what I want to address here is this big number here on the bottom. Right now, for the life of the campaign, which began on the 15th of September of 2018, in conjunction with the launch of the NASA Ice Cloud and Land Elevation Satellite 2 satellite, which focuses on measuring basically the changing of ice height in Greenland, Antarctica, and sea ice around the world at the poles. But it also, because it's an onboard laser altimeter system, or what's called LiDAR, it uses LiDAR. And if you've been part of the campaign webinars, you've heard all about ISAT2. It can also measure tree height, and we've measured billions of trees, hundreds of billions of trees with ISAT2 so far. So with that said, we have over 220,000 observations of tree height, land cover, and greenings from just over 68,000 global sites. And this is as of about an hour ago. I went into the GLOBE database and pulled some numbers, and this is where we stand right now. All right, so right now we are in the going on within the submission period for IVSS 2025, the 30 years of GLOBE understanding the past, present, and future. And what's cool about this is that in a couple days, actually tomorrow, there is a webinar, and you can go to the webinar link, and I can put that in the chat in a little bit. But you can go to the webinar link, and I believe there's a webinar tomorrow at, it looks like 10 a.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. UTC. How to submit IVSS project webinar. So you'll be able to see this whole calendar, and I've crossed these out, the things that have happened so far. But where we stand now is the webinar looks like tomorrow. So you can see all that. And they do update that. This is as of yesterday. So hopefully they didn't update it as of yesterday or change anything. But you can see the updated calendar on here, because they do tend to, they can add webinars here and there, or, with scheduling, they might have to change something. So you can see that all at the webinar, or just go into GLOBE, and then in the GLOBE search box, just put in IVSS 2025, and it'll take you to the first link will take you to that website where you can see the calendar. So, and I mention this because, as you know, a lot of our campaign is aligned to working with students and educators to submit these IVSS projects that are part of that have a relation to the Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign. All right, so our next webinar will be on the 11th of February. It's a Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC, 1900 CET, and this is the State of Trees Under Snow, February 2025, featuring the February 2025 Snow View Intensive Observation Period in relation to land-covered trees, clouds, and how snow fits into our classification system. Now, this will be featuring Peder Nelson. He is one of the leads for this 2025 Snow View IOP. And he, as I mentioned in the agenda, he will be basically having a little prelude to it at the end of this webinar to set us up for next month's webinar, and focusing more on what they're really focusing on during this IOP. So stay tuned for that, and you'll receive over the next few days, if you are in our NASA listserv for the campaign, you will then receive an invite for this in your email. So stay tuned for that. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with the featured presentations. And the first thing I'm going to show here is from Lenka Kleger. She's in the Czech Republic and part of the GLOBE Europe and Eurasia Regional Coordination Office. And this is a video that she sent me where they put together the observations for the autumn 2024 autumn campaign that Lenka will focus her presentation on just after this video. So let me go ahead and play this, and then after that, I will come back and then pass it over to Lenka. Wow, there was a lot happening in that video, and I'm excited to hear from Lenka in a second. So I'm going to pass it over to Lenka. She's going to talk about the 2024 European Phenology Autumn Campaign. So let me go ahead and unshare and then pass it over to Lenka.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And so my name is Lenka Kleger, and I'm greeting you from Prague, Czech Republic, where the regional office for Europe and Eurasia is located. And this is where we coordinate the European Phenology campaign. So I will share my presentation. And I'm really happy to be here. And Brian, thanks a lot to you and your team for giving the time to talk about the Phenology campaign. It's really a great pleasure. So thanks a lot. And you mentioned that there was a lot going on in the video, and that's right. There was a lot going on this autumn in our campaign. And just to like introduce what's going on in the campaign. So Phenology campaign, or spring tree or autumn tree campaign, is a campaign that focuses on seasonal changes of trees, of course. So in spring, we observe how trees are waking up from the winter sleep. And this autumn, as every autumn, we focus on the way how the leaves on trees are coloring, and how the leaves are falling down, so on greening down of trees. And here are a few pictures. You saw them already in the video. This was captured by the schools that participated in the campaign, and in this way they capture how the trees change. We have been coordinating the campaign already for a really long time. So it was the 9th year of Autumn Tree campaign. And we are so happy that as like a little tree, the campaign really is growing every year, and we have more and more schools joining in. So this autumn, we were so happy to have 300 schools joining the campaign from 26 countries. These were mainly countries from Europe and Eurasia region, but also we had few schools from the United States or from Nigeria, for example. So it was really international campaign. There were over 5,300 students involved in the measurements in the three green down observations, and they actually entered as many as 3,000 observations into the GLOBE database. So I think that's pretty amazing how active the schools were. What we do in the campaign, what we did over the autumn, we have 3 activities that are based on the GLOBE Green Down protocols. So it's just a protocol split it into kind of parts. So school choose their tree that they keep visiting over the autumn, and they follow how the color change of leaves progresses and how the leaves fall down. And then schools are invited to share the data in the GLOBE database, and also to work with the data to learn a little bit how the change differs in different places, or how it differs compared to the previous year. So schools are actively using the data from the GLOBE database. So that's the core of the campaign. But except for that, there are many activities schools can be involved in to learn a little bit more about the tree and about the nature around them, and about the factors that actually influence the autumn tree change. So schools are encouraged to also record temperature and precipitation, and see if there's any correlation perhaps between the timing of greening down and the natural conditions. Schools study how trees help us to cool down our cities, our environment. Also, there's an activity focused on carbon stored in the trees, and the calculation of how much carbon is actually stored in the leaves that fall down of tree that the school observes. Thanks to the great cooperation with Brian, schools also measure the tree height. They study how tall their trees are. And we also hope and try to bring activities that that bring some fun and joy to the students, so they enjoy time outdoors and time with their trees. This autumn, we had one very special activity called Tree Reporters Challenge. So the students were encouraged to go out, visit their tree, and take a role of GLOBE reporters and interview their tree. So they could ask anything they wanted to, put any questions to the tree, and they sent us many beautiful videos for Tree TV and magazine pages for Tree magazine. So this was one specific activity for this autumn. And why we think it's really good to be involved in the phenology campaign or do the phenology with GLOBE. We think there are several reasons. One is that it's quite easy and very nice way how to know a little bit the environment around the school, to know a bit about the seasonal changes and about the connections in the environment. Of course, schools are collecting really valuable data that they share with the scientists in the database, but also with other schools, and they can work with them for their school projects. We also can see that students enjoy the time outdoors, and the phenology campaign is a good way how to bond with a tree, how to learn a bit more about it and learn about its value and importance. And last but not least, we think that such a campaign is a very good opportunity for meeting, even if only in an online environment, and share the findings about nature, but also a bit of our cultures and inspire each other by our findings. At the end, I have two invitations for all of you. One of them is an invitation to come and see our Padlet, which is a place where we collect different materials from schools, be it videos, Padlets, presentations. There's like actually a lot of inspiration, a lot of activities that can be used even for your teaching or for the schools in your country. So this Padlet is available on the GLOBE website, at the Phenology campaign page. And then one more invitation, and this time it is to an event which will take place on 4 and 5th February. And the event is called the Best of GLOBE Europe and Eurasia. And this will be kind of a conference or celebration of student achievements, and also about celebration of 30 years of GLOBE. And there you will hear a lot of presentation and videos from students, also many of them about trees and about phenology, but also from other GLOBE activities. So that was a quick information from me about the phenology campaign, and we will soon hear from the schools more details about the observations, and of course I'll be happy to answer any questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Lenka. This is Peter speaking. Quick question, two actually. One, and I think Brian already did this. He put the link to the phenology campaign in the chat box, but could you also put the link to the upcoming? Thank you.
Sure.
A question: How do students, teachers, how do they participate? How do they have to sign up somewhere? How do they join?
Okay, so we ask, actually all the materials of the campaign are like freely accessible on the GLOBE website. So anyone can come to the European Phenology campaign page and download the materials, do the activities on their own. But we invite schools to register for the campaign. And the reason is that we have a regular newsletter with like news from the campaign, invitations to events, and some articles from scientists, and some, we hope, interesting topics. So this is something that is sent to all the participating schools, and also those schools who register can receive a certificate from us for their participation, and a virtual badge for example, for collaboration, for entering data.
And I love the new Tree Reporters activity that you put together. I think that's something that we did at the European meeting, and that was quite fun to break up into groups to get to know different people. and go out and do that activity. That was a fun activity. I'm sure students are going to enjoy that as well.
And we will just to add quickly, we will have many of the videos and many of the magazine pages also presented during the virtual conference, the Best of GLOBE Europe and Eurasia. So in case anybody is interested, come and join us, because it's really fun. I must say, I love the videos and the pages. There's so much creativity and great questions from the reporters to the trees, and great answers from the trees as well. So.
One more thing, could you put the Padlet link in the chat box as well once you're done? And we have another question. What was one of the favorite either observations or activities or measurements that students have done that you've seen as part of the campaign?
Well, speaking in general for the whole campaign, like including spring and autumn, what I hear really often is that students just love the moment when in spring, when the leaves grow and you can see the bud opening and you can see the tip of the leaves. So that's something that I often hear from schools, that it's kind of a miracle. They have been waiting. They actually, it requires a lot of patience from students. So they have to come like twice, 3 times a week to watch the tree, see the changes. And so there are the buds, they are sleeping, and all of a sudden they open and the students can see the leaves. So it's like something that students often mention as a spring miracle, really. So
and there's something to be said about that look of like amazement when it's like, whoa, and eyes open up. It's just a great experience to see.
yeah.
As part of the campaign, do they have to purchase any type of equipment or anything like that, or just use their phone?
Yeah, so I will start with the spring because it's coming now. So in case anybody would like to join us, there's nothing is needed basically for the campaign. You need a pen, paper, and a ruler. So that's super easy to join, and it's super easy to do all the activities. Even small kids really can do it. And for older students, I believe there are opportunities to add some like extra activities. So it's pretty easy. And for the autumn campaign, I guess you could see the plant color guide, the paper with the colors on it, and you will see it in the presentation of schools for sure. So that's kind of equipment that is needed, but in all Europe and Eurasia countries, the coordinators can provide this piece of equipment. So that's it. That's, I think, big advantage of the GLOBE Phenology activities, that it's really like simple when it comes to equipment and some prerequisites for that.
Thank you. And one last question we got from Anna from Argentina. And she asks, how do you motivate teachers to participate, to join the campaign?
Yeah, that's a good question. we believe that it's just it's mostly the teachers that kind of motivate each other. That the campaign started these 9 years ago with like few schools. There were really like 10 schools involved, and then more schools were joining, and teachers were speaking so nicely about the activities, and they were so enthusiastic about it. And there were different like online meetings or even face-to-face conferences where teachers presented their findings and how much they enjoyed the activities. And this way the word spread, and it kind of attracted new schools. So I think that's actually the main thing, seeing the results from other schools and the enthusiasm of students. And from our side, of course, we try to share. We have great coordinators in our region, so they spread the information about the campaign, and they invite school and help them to get involved, actually.
And I think Brian said it best. He just put in the chat, excuse me, nature is a great motivator. I think I want to leave it with that. But yes, working with your team, we work with your team often. You have a great team. You guys get along great with each other, and you've added new people to your team recently. So it's great to work with you guys. So if you haven't worked on the campaign, please join. It's a great campaign to be a part of. Thank you, Lenka.
Thank you very much.
All right, turn it right back over to Brian. And Brian, did you want to introduce this next school that's going to be presenting?
Sorry, hold on. My all of a sudden it automatically muted me, so strange. All right, let me make sure this pops up on the screen. Okay, can you see that, Peter?
Yes.
All right, excellent. All right, so our
And
next
I
presentation.
have no volume.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. This is Medical School Varaždin, Croatia. How green is Varaždin? And I'm going to introduce the teachers, Maria and Mirella. And we have student presenters, Eva, Julia, and Valeria. So can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent.
Yes.
So thank you all for being here to present. I know it's a little later for everyone over there in Europe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing now, and you can feel free to share. And then Peter will lead some question and answers for anyone. And I recommend everyone, put think about some questions while you're hearing the presentation about how green is Varaždin. It's going to be great. I got a chance to look at the presentation ahead of time, and it is amazing. Great stuff. So let me go ahead and stop sharing, and I will pass it over to the presenters.
Thank you. We can start. Eva?
Yep, looks good.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eva, and joining me today are Valeria and Julia. We are students from the medical school in Varaždin, and we are really excited to present our work to you. Our main topic was how green is our hometown, and that is Varaždin. So before we dig into the theme, I will introduce our school. Our school has been a proud participant in the GLOBE program for 27 years. Throughout the program, we were active in participating projects for environmental protection and sustainability. And in today's presentation, we will take a look at changes in land cover around Varaždin, tree measurements and canopy coverage in city parks, the use of MUC codes for land classifications, and seasonal monitoring of trees, specifically green up and green down. And I also forgot to mention in the start that we are from Croatia, which is located on the map that is shown on the slide. So our city has several key green areas. For example, we have the Drava Park Forest, where we didn't have new measurements this year, but we do have older data that was entered into the GLOBE database. Next up, we have the park near our cemetery. We have the Ivan Pavel II walkway. Then we have the Vateslav Jagic Park, and the orange dot that is located on the map is our school location, and near our school is a small park in the residential area called Pos.
The first thing we will talk about is the tracking land cover changes over time. Our research was focused on land cover changes between 2016 and 2022. The red represents the built area, which we see didn't change much throughout the years, and there is less trees and grass, which are shown with different shades of green. And in 2022, there is more land with crops, which is showed with orange color. So a lot more people started agricultural hobbies. We use the modified UNESCO classificator, or shorter the MUC code, to categorize the most common land covers in Varaždin and nearby areas. The most common land area were row crops and pasture with 35% and the code 881. The second most common land area is the residential area with 32% and the code 91. And lastly, the third most common land area is the commercial and industrial area with 18% and the code 92. We also focused a lot on tree measurements, such as tree height, circumference, and canopy coverages. So we mostly focused on biometric measurements on 4 different parks in our city. The first park is the park near a large residential area. It is a younger park, so the trees are also younger. The most dominant tree in this park is the maple tree, which is also the highest tree with 8.47 meters, and the co-dominant tree is the American liquid amber. The canopy coverage is 5% that is covered in trees, and 95% isn't covered. The second park is the Park Vatroslava Jagića in the center of the city, or better to say near the theater. The most dominant tree is the small-leaved lime tree, which is also the tallest tree with 16.9 meters, and the co-dominant tree is the horse chestnut. The canopy coverage is 62% covered in with trees, and the rest, 38%, doesn't have any coverage.
The third park is Ivan Pavlov's second walkway. The dominant tree in this park is maple, which is also the tallest measured tree at 21.7 meters. Co-dominant tree is oak, and it's important to note canopy cover, which is 78% covered in trees and 22% that isn't covered in trees. The fourth park is park near our beautiful, well-known European cemetery. The dominant tree and also the highest measured at 20 meters is black ash. Co-dominant tree is black pine, and canopy cover here is a bit lower than the previous park, with 38 measurements covered in trees and 70 measurements without trees.
We also did a research on ginkgo biloba as a part of the research tree reporters. We did the research on the tree that is located in our school backyard, and its height reaches up to 18 meters. It is known for its fan-shaped leaves, which have a lot of medical properties, such as preventing premature aging and also strengthening the heart. And it is also a living fossil.
In 2024, Varaždin received the European Tree City Award for its dedication to green space and urban sustainability. This award highlights the importance of our parks, tree-lined streets, and green initiatives. Varaždin entered the prestigious European Tree City title, joining cities like Vienna, Prague, and Amsterdam for excellence in urban tree management. We have Sycamore tree in Varaždin. Sycamore tree in Varaždin is considered as an ornament of the residential area of Banfica due to its dimensions. Sycamore was a part of the former tree line, and its age reaches up to more than 100 years. It's protected as the monumentum of park architecture, and it was declared in 1975. The tree reaches a height up to 38 meters, and the trunk circumference is 535 centimeters. It is very wide and branch-crowned.
Next, we will talk about the phenology campaign. This involved tracking for seasonal changes in various trees that our students measured. We measured trees like lilacs, lime trees, figs, cherries, but we will focus on my 2 silver birch trees that are located in my front yard. With this monitoring process, we understood how climate changes affect the tree growth cycle. We monitored trees throughout the years to track the seasonal changes. We monitored budding in the spring, leaf growth in the summer, color changes in the autumn. We used this universal color chart to understand the green down process, and we also monitored leaf fall in the winter. This is a picture of my 2 birch trees in my front yard. They are located in Seačinec, and Seačinec is a small village only 6 kilometers away from Varaždin. Their height is approximately 3 to 4 meters, and in Latin, they are the species Betula pendula. Here is a graphical image of all the data we entered into the GLOBE database. We monitored the green down process from 2022 to 2024, and the green up process in 2024. So here is a graphic image for the green up. We monitored the green up process during 2024 to observe the timing and bud burst and leaf development in relation to the weather conditions. We compared these observations with temperature and precipitation data to understand how the factors influence the timing and duration in the green up phase. So the leaves were dormant from February 15th. The swelling started on March 20th. Bud burst was from March 27th, and we started measuring the leaf length on April 3rd, and all up from May 10th. So we noticed that bud burst began earlier in 2023 due to the higher temperatures in the early spring. The green up process lasted longer when there was a greater amount of precipitation during the leaf development period. All of this aligned with our findings that higher rainfall during bud burst actually prolongs the green up process, and that moisture is a big influence on leaf growth. If we take a look at the green down process that was monitored from 2022 to 2024, we can see that lower temperature actually influences the leaf fall down process. Increased precipitation during the period actually delayed leaf fall. Moist conditions maintained the leaf's vitality for a longer period. If we compare the data over all of the 3 years, we can see a clear relationship between cooler temperatures and shorter green down periods, whereas warmer periods and weather conditions actually tend to prolong the process of leaf fall.
Although we already mentioned it at the beginning, it is important to note that the students are very interested in GLOBE, which we can see in this picture where we are almost everyone that is a part of our GLOBE team. We thank you for your time and attention, and we are more than happy to answer your questions.
Hi guys, this is Peter. I'll be taking some of the questions. First off, amazing work. That is quite the team effort. I see you have a large team there, and I love the fact that you guys all took part in ownership in your project. And that's not just one person leading the charge, because you all knew exactly what you were doing. A couple questions that we do have in our chat box. I'm just going to go ahead and read them out. Let me scroll there. What were any observations that may have surprised you as you're doing your research? And this is for any.
Well, for example, when I was measuring the green up and green down process, I was actually really surprised how throughout the years, all of the moisture and the changes in the temperature actually affect the whole process. I didn't really believe that had such a big influence on leaf growth and leaf fall down.
And why did you guys decide to choose the trees that you did?
Well, our teacher Maya, she actually sent us a list of trees that we can monitor, and then the students showed interest and everybody found 1 or 2 trees, and we decided to focus on the whole process.
And how many trees in all did you guys count and measure?
Well, I'm not sure because every year new students join, and sadly, we had a situation where many students had to um, sorry, they had to demolish their trees and they couldn't track the green up and green down process anymore. But I'd say we have approximately more than 10 to 15 trees that we monitored.
That's unfortunate that they do that.
Yeah.
One more question. Let's see. Give me one moment. How much time did you spend per month working on your campaign, on your research, I should say?
Well, I started monitoring the green down process in late September and up until late December. It depends throughout the years because the whole process doesn't start at the same time every year.
And one last question, because once again, you guys did amazing work. You should read the comments because a lot of people said some great stuff about your research and the way you present it. You guys did a great job. Was it difficult to motivate new students to join your research? Because you said you've done it for a few years and students come and go.
Well, I'd say that our school mainly has the really motivated students because students with high grades join our school, and since we are a science-based school, it mostly interests our students, and it doesn't take a lot of motivation to get the students to join the GLOBE program.
Thanks. Okay, well, once again, thank you very much. You did a great job. I want to encourage you to continue doing research in trees and land cover. That's amazing work. And also to read through the chat box to see if there's any other questions that I may have missed that maybe you would like to answer. Okay, so once again, thanks a lot for participating and great job, you guys.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that, as Peder mentioned, that wonderful presentation, very in depth, and the amount of trees and tree species you did was great. And thank you also for continuing to do this year after year. And as I mentioned in the comments, it was so good to hear that you have lots of motivated students at your school, since it's a science-based school, and that you don't have to do a lot of convincing to do this because their interest is already there. So thank you so much. All right, we're going to move to the country of Georgia now, and we're going to be talking about their work with the GLOBE Phenology campaign. And the teacher is Marina, and the student is Mariko. They are both here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a short video that was sent to me by Marina, and it features Mariko, and then we will follow that up with some Q&A. So it's question and answer session. So let me go ahead and play this for you, and then we will have a discussion about it after the presentation, after I stop sharing then. And then I will ask after I show the video and unshare if Marina and Mariko can, if they would like to pop their cameras on, and then we'll have any questions from folks as well. So let me go ahead and share the video that they sent me.
Hello everyone, I'm Erika Miadze from Georgia Tbilisi Gymnasium IIGS. For the past months, I have been observing trees as a part of the GLOBE Phenology program, tracking changes and learning about seasonal cycles. This video is a summary of my journey, showcasing all the observations I conducted throughout this program. Now let's take a look at the highlights. From March to November, I've been observing 2 trees, a cherry tree and a quince tree, documenting the transformations in their leaves and overall appearance. These activities helped me understand how trees respond to environmental changes throughout the year. The cherry tree's leaves shifted from vibrant green to shades of orange and brown as autumn arrived. The quince tree followed a similar path, reflecting the natural cycle of life. This process deepened my understanding of nature and let me create a visual story of the tree's journeys through the seasons. Working with my teacher, Marina Khardonashvili, we entered all the results in the GLOBE sheets. Additionally, we were actively involved in social media. Thank you for this great opportunity.
So thank you for that. That was a great video, a great synopsis of your research. And Mariko, is there anything you want to add to the presentation that you want, anything that you want to say in relation to it? And then we can ask some folks for any questions and answers about it.
First of all, hello. And I want to thank all of you for this great opportunity. I want to thank my teacher, Marina Khardonashvili, because it was a really long journey, really interesting journey that developed many skills in me and improved all the many skills in me. So I just want to say thank you for all the support and guidance coming from you. Thank you.
Marika, I have a question for you. What made you decide to do this research and how long did you do it for?
Hello again. I'm very interested in nature and I wanted to learn more about the seasonal cycles, about trees, about plants, and I think the GLOBE was the best opportunity for me and for my teacher also to observe more and to look out for more kind of activities. This was very interesting process and also very nice to see developing the trees and also developing myself as a student and as a GLOBE participant.
And what were some of the things that you've learned from this process in doing your research?
Yes, of course. First of all, I learned to organize all the data, how to record videos properly, how to say information correctly to audience. And yes, there were so many skills, so many process that was new for me. And yes, that was all. Thank you.
So was this your first time doing GLOBE research? And if so, will you continue doing it and maybe see if more students are interested in being part of your team?
Yes, so I'm involved in GLOBE project for I think 4 years, but in these activities were new for me, and we look forward to joining more people, involving more students in this project. We have a club in school, ecotouristic club, which mentor is my teacher, Marina Khardonashvili, and we want to give these people more opportunity to join in this project and learn more from me and from this project too.
Well, I think you have a lot to share with the younger students that would be joining your project. And I think that can make things even better because now you're not only learning, but you're teaching other students how to go out and make measurements on tree height and land cover. So I think that's great. We have another question. Let me see. No, well, there's some comments in the chat box that I think you should read because a lot of people did mention, they like your video. And we look forward to seeing more about your research in the future. Hopefully you submitted an IVSS project as well, because we'd like to see that in the IVSS system. And once again, just want to encourage you to continue to go out and make more observations, continue doing your research, and add more students to your project as well.
Yes, I'm glad you liked our presentation.
Great job. Thank you. Brian, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Marco, for that great presentation. And thank you, Mari, for the being a teacher and motivating Marco for the research. So I'm super excited to hear that to bring more students in. At Peter's question about bringing more students in, that would be wonderful with the after school club as well. So yeah, thank you so much for your presentation and your video and the answers to the questions. So now our final student presentation today will be from Italy. It will be our results from the 2024 Autumn Phenology campaign. Teacher is Sabrina Pozzari, and the student presenters will be Federico, Vittoria, Valentina, and Caterina. And you'll see on the screen, and as you've seen on the screen each time, I have the map of where their school is and, what it looks like, kind of, that aerial view, and then a little a screenshot of the presentation. So we're excited to hear about this one as well. So let me go ahead and stop sharing, and I will pass it over for the presentation.
Okay, we are ready. Try to share the screen. Is it okay?
Yep, looks good. If you just want to put it in presentation mode, it's just, yep, looks great.
Okay, let's go.
Hello, we are the students of the middle school of Marcallo Concasone, a small town 30 kilometers west of Milan with about 6,000 inhabitants. Our town extends in western part of the metropolitan city of Milan in the north of Italy. We are in the Lombardia region. It's a large flat area divided into a high plain near the mountains and low plain, Po Valley, rich in water and instantly cultivated. Marcallo is located inside the natural park of River Ticino, which leaves Maggiore Lake and flow down to River Po. We observe trees and clouds in our school garden. It's rather large and surrounds all the buildings of our middle school. There are many different trees, broadleaf trees, fruit trees, conifers, shrubs, and saplings. The automated weather station is located on the east side of the garden, on the grass. It has been working since September 2023, and it shares weather data with GLOBE. For the third year, we have participated to the European Autumn Phenology campaign. We observed different trees in our school garden: birch, hazel, mulberry, cherry, and maple. Last October, we tried to make prediction about leaf color change. We worked in small groups and compared green down charts of autumn 2023 with weather data of spring, summer, and beginning of autumn 2024. In general, we expected that for all three, leaves would have the same colors of the previous year, but that color change would have started earlier. Likewise, we expected that this would fall off some days earlier, and the end of November. Our hypothesis was made considering weather data recorded by our weather station. Spring 2024 was milder than spring 2023, especially as regards minimum values. Then there were many cloudy days, overcast or broken, and rainy days. Very high rainfall was detected, 965 millimeters, especially in February, March, and May. In Marcallo Spring 2024 has been the worst of the last 10 years. Summer 2024 has been rather mild. In June until mid-July, then it became very hot. It has been a dry season. In September and October 2024, temperatures was a little colder than in 2023 because the weather has been often cloudy and rainy. Temperatures dropped down faster at the beginning of November. Rainfall has been high in September, October. November and December have been dry. The total autumn rainfall is about 350 millimeters.
Now we are going to talk about the result of the 2024 Autumn Phenology campaign as regards the birch tree, hazel tree, and maple tree. You will see the color change in the picture. During green down observation, we always notice that it's very difficult to identify the right color of the leaves because the different brightness of the sky and the level of the sunlight can affect the color detected by our eyes quite a lot. This is the reason why you see some anomalies in the predominant color charts. Let's start with the birch tree. The first color change towards a lighter color occurred about 2 weeks earlier in 2024 than in 2023. On October 14. Furthermore, leaves turned to yellow more slowly than the year before. The yellow-orange shades appeared on November 14. As regards the hazel tree, leaves began to change their color about 2 weeks later than in 2023, November 4th, and we haven't observed an intermediate shade of green. At the end of the green down, leaves turned to a brown color. Leaves fell down more or less on the same days, both in 2023 and 2024, first week of December. Finally, the maple tree. It's a very important tree because it captures a great amount of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We have several maples in our school garden, and this one is the really most beautiful, especially in the autumn season. Leaves turned to lighter green 2 weeks earlier than in 2023, mid-October, but yellow color could be seen later on November 21st. The leaves fell down some days later than in the previous year. During this autumn campaign, we have been surprised to find out the red color on the maple tree, especially in the higher and south-facing parts, the most exposed to sunlight, and on the edges of leaves. As you can see in the picture, in 2023, the leaves in November had already taken the yellow color, while this year, leaves are partly green and red on the edges.
To have a better understanding of leaves color change, we looked for leaf pigments through paper chromatography. We extracted colored pigments from green leaves, yellow leaves, and red leaves, and we could recognize the hidden colors that the autumn season makes visible with wonderful shades. Here are the summary tables with color code and the timing of the main color change. To sum up our result in 2024 compared to 2023, the first color change has been observed much early, dark green to a light green. Light green shade lasted too longer. Yellow and orange colors appeared a bit later. A small delay in leaves falling down has been observed. Here is summary of weather data of the whole year 2024. They think that the difference in green down timing and coloring depend on several reasons. The very hot temperature that we recorded during summer, the huge amount of rainfall that was recorded in 2024, about 1,500 millimeters of rain, the early autumn that seemed to have occurred. In September and October, we had many rainy and cloudy days, as you can see from the charts. You are milder temperatures than in 2023, or maybe autumn 2023 was too hot. It's difficult to say.
Finally, we want to tell you about our collaboration project with the Osnova Scola Duvac in Croatia. The project is called Meet and Learn Together with GLOBE. Students of both schools share their observation and research on GLOBE protocols, but they also are getting to know each other. Students and teachers meet once a month through video calling and sharing presentation and experience. In February, we will visit them in Croatia, while in May, students from Karlovac will visit our school in Markallo. Students of both schools are very excited about this scientific training. As our schools are located at the same latitude, we've tried to compare green down data of common tree, birch and hazel.
As regards the birch tree in Marcallo, leaves turned to a lighter green some days later than in Karlovac, while yellow shades appeared at the same times. Besides, the timing of leaves falling is a bit delayed for the birch in Marcallo. Otherwise, the green down of the hazel tree is rather different. In Marcallo, we observed lighter shades. We had the first color change 1 month later, just like the leaves falling occurred 1 month later. We suppose that those differences depend not on the climate features, as climate classification is rather similar, temperate with humid summer, but rather of the different age of the trees. Our hazel has a bushy structure and it's 11 meters tall, while hazel in Karlovac is still a shrub. You can see our observation and pictures on the shared Padlet. Throughout GLOBE activity, we've learned to observe nature more carefully, to be patient and pay attention to details. We've understood that observing and learning in nature need constancy and working hard. Sometimes it's difficult, but in the meanwhile, it's exciting and challenging. We have a lot of fun staying outdoors. It's very interesting to study science directly into nature, and nature shows all its beauty in autumn. We would like to thank very much our classmates because everyone has done a good job in observing trees, recording data, taking pictures, and analyzing data. Other teachers and of our school involved in the project, and our principal, our country coordinators, and GLOBE Italy for their precious training and support. All the GLOBE staff for the great opportunity to present our results, especially GLOBE Europe and Eurasia Region Coordination Office. We believe that living in nature is the best teachers. Thank you.
Guys, Peter, once again, first off, great job. This image tells a lot. It just shows how much fun you guys had with all the leaves and the trees. So you guys did a wonderful job. I'd just like to commend you on the great work that you did. And read a couple of questions from our chat. One question that we do have is, your research was extremely involved. It's a very extremely involved research project. As for the tests for leaf pigments, did you expect the results that you got?
Yes, we expected the results of paper chromatography because we studied the reason of the colors of leaves. So we knew that the red color is produced by leaves when the sunlight is very high. And the red color is used by leaves to protect from too hot temperatures during the autumn season. So we expected, and I am the teacher and I guided my students to analyze results. So
a great job. They're learning from one of the best. In fact, one of our colleagues liked your presentation so well, she asked if she can get a copy of it to read further into your research.
Can you repeat, please, because I don't hear.
And I'll speak much slower as well. One of our colleagues in the chat box requested a copy of your presentation because she liked it so much. She would like to continue reading on your research.
Okay, I can give the link because it's very heavy as presentation, so I can send maybe.
Thank you.
Maybe at the end of the webinar.
Yes, and there are a lot of comments in the chat box that talk about what people think of the research and the presentation.
Yes,
and it's all
but
great.
I would like to thank once again all my students because you have heard 4 students reading the presentation, but I have 2 classes working on this. And in my school, there are other 4 classes working on the phenology campaign in spring and autumn. And twice a year, we take tree measurements and we observe clouds. And so, it was a very interesting thing that we could put a weather station in our garden since September 2023. So we can compare data coming from nature, from trees with weather data. So, and we would like to create an historical series of data. And we would, of course, we will go on.
And I love the fact that you are now branching out, not just from your community, but working with students in Croatia as well to see how the trees different. I think that's a great part of this research.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
Last year, we decided to make our students of the third year of the middle school, they are 14 years old, to participate to a kind of twinning, but based on GLOBE protocols. So we asked Lenka to suggest us a school in some countries near to Italy, easy to reach for us. And we took contact with Snjecana Soraya of Dubovac School in Karlovac, and we decided to start this project. So in October, November, and December, students meet through video calling, and they presented their project, their school, so they started to know each other. Then students are in contact by email, but at the end of February, we will visit the school in Croatia, and in May, they will come to Italy. Of course, we will take some pictures of activities, and we are going to try GLOBE protocols together in Croatia and here in Italy. So that's a great job, and we believe it will be very interesting and for all our students. And thank you to the GLOBE community. It's fantastic, I can say.
Well, this is why we do our work, to see these types of collaborations. So I hope you do more than photos. I hope you do videos and maybe create like a video of that collaboration as well. So once again, just like to say thank you. Congratulations on the great work you did, and encourage you to read the comments to see what people have been saying about your project.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll turn it over to you, Brian.
All right. Thank you, Peter. And thank you for another great presentation. Wow, what an involved presentation, research project. So yeah, that was excellent. Thank you all so much. And, you know, a lot of the comments, you know, well, every comment was great work for all the presentations today. So thank you all so much for this. And a lot of the folks would like some of the slides. I know you can see all the slides on the video presentation on the recording, but it's not the same as actually having the slides. So feel free to, you know, put your slides in online, like on a Google Slides or something, and send a URL to get it. If you need to send it to me, possible, but you know, you can send it directly to the folks involved who are asking for it. But okay, last but not least, I'm going to pass it over to our own Peder Nelson to get us thinking about the upcoming SNOWVIEW, the GLOBE SNOWVIEW intensive observation period for February 2025 for the entire month. And as I mentioned, this is a prelude to what's going to be our focus for next month's webinar on the 11th of February. That's a Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. So let me go ahead and pass it over to Peter to finish up the webinar for us today.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm really excited because of these wonderful presentations that we've seen. You know, this the tree green up, green down is a wonderful way to focus on, like Lenka was referring to, when trees wake up and when they go to sleep, right? And one of the questions I always have is what happens in between then? What does a tree experience? How does it handle cold? How does it handle winter? What happens when those leaves might fall off the trees? Do they actually leave the trees themselves? And so a lot of what we've been talking about is a great, wonderful bookends for something we do want to focus here in our campaign. And this is a challenge, right? It's we don't get a lot of people going outside during the winter because it's cold. So with this, recognize that you can participate in several ways, but part of what we're asking for is pictures of snow. Where is the snow? Is it in the trees? Is it on the ground? And this actually gives us some good indications of that tree canopy. And it gives us some ideas about where the water might start moving. One of the things that I want to suggest everybody here consider is not just the temperature of the air, but actually the temperature of the soil. That could be a really wonderful thing to add to this, because some research has indicated it's the temperature of the soil that helps to wake up that tree, that helps it to start realizing that it's time to start photosynthesizing. It might be warm enough for that chemistry to start happening, right? So soil moisture, soil temperature, those characteristics might be something you might expand, your research with. And so, with that is just, where does the snow fall? And so, this is our go outside, use Globe Observer, do some observations using your phone. And we saw how those photos are really valuable. Right? And we call these leaf off remote sensing images. And they're really useful for helping us to classify leaf longevity, right? Which is one of those big characteristics of, is it evergreen or is it deciduous? And February is this nice time where we can really use that snow reflectance to help us see the contrast between the summer and the winter, or the green leaves and the not green leaves. Okay, so that's part of our goal here, is to capture what is happening between this green up or green down and green up period. Okay, so just a rapid assessment is what we're looking for, and so on our campaign page, our intensive observation period page. First, I want to highlight, student participation in this. Students were asked to go out during the winter and actually do snow observations. And so they have their own story and experience with this about how cold it is. And that led to this campaign, actually. And so I just want to highlight that this was really started from students wanting to understand what is happening in winter. And so, you can see on this page, you can learn a little bit more. I want to highlight that we have webinars every week, and we'll be tapping into those during this our trees campaign as well. But I want to highlight, I'm doing several of these, but we want to talk about, how do you use those time lapse or time series of images that everybody's taking to actually observe or measure that leaf area or the reflection of the sunlight. And so I'll be helping you to make a satellite time series of your location over time. And that seasonal piece that you guys are all talking about is what we want to highlight. And then, we want to be also thinking about how does your community actually adapt to snow in your community? Is it something you deal with all the time, so you have a plan? How do you move it around if you get too much of it? And so, this question of how does your community adapt might be something that really impacts where trees are located, which could actually be providing a windbreak or some sort of barrier to protect you from winds or weather events. So this is a really, I think, a really interesting thing that our trees can actually reveal a lot about what we experience living in an environment in February. But also, there is this really important piece of how that gives us insights into how liquid water might start moving through the landscape. Okay, it might reveal to us places where it's shaded, and that snow sticks around a little bit longer, and so so animals, all of us, can actually use that area a little bit later in the season than on some of the south slopes, like those trees that we saw earlier. That amount of sunlight really does end up affecting what ends up happening on the ground, the photosynthesis and things like that. So as a scientist, I'm really excited about this. And so I just want to invite everybody to take part in this, and we'll be going through and reviewing the submissions. And a lot of that, like I said, is if we go into the GLOBE database right now and just look at some of the pictures coming in, if we go up north, we've learned some things about, Alaska and Fairbanks. And so we might be able to look back, but again, you notice we don't have any observation in February here. Everybody's going out later in the season, and so we don't know what it even looks like on the ground right there, right? So that's one example of how we have gaps in our data, okay? So I just want to encourage you all to be thinking about what happens in between that time period of when we get greening. And one of the things that I want you to be paying attention to is, where is the sun actually at when you are doing your observations? February is a fun month to think about this connection between you and the sun, because you might expect the sun to be in the east or the west, but it might actually show up in your south photo a lot because of that latitude piece that a lot of our projects were talking about. So just pay attention to that sun angle when you're out at that time of the year. Because again, that might be a variable you might want to consider and bring into your analysis. The more sunlight you get, the longer the daylight, the more photosynthesis that can happen, and maybe the more the trees will grow. But pay attention to that. I've really been interested to see where that shows up in February, something I haven't paid attention to until I started doing observations like this. Okay. And so, you'll end up finding, our observations inside of here and our evidence for whether there's snow on the ground, whether there's snow in the sky, actually in the clouds, or whether it's on top of buildings. And just to kind of take us back to up here to Alaska, let's see if we have a recent observation that can give us something to talk about. Yes. So what we're really, really excited about seeing during winter is this piece, right? Is how much snow is not on the ground. And it might be held in those tree branches. And it doesn't have to have leaves for that snow to get caught up there. That delay might actually be something that helps to reveal when your trees wake up. The other thing is that weight can actually cause branches to break off, right? The freezing of the winter, and it might actually cause damage to our trees. So this gives us a quick indication of what we might expect when we go out and measure the leaves that are out there. Okay. And so, this is the type of photo that we're looking for. And I want to highlight, the reason is because this is a really unanswered research question. I highlight this, and I'll put this into the chat for everybody to look at. But I have a colleague who teaches remote sensing with me, and he studies how much snow is accumulating in these tree branches. And then if there's winter storms, how much does that tree sway back and forth? And so he is known for putting a Fitbit, those things that keep track of how many steps that you take. He puts them on trees to measure how much they sway back and forth during the winter like this. So, this is a really cool way that you can use sensors to help you fill in those gaps between your measurements. And it can really help us to understand that water availability in our area. So that's kind of the on the ground kind of piece of things. But I want to take us back here to our NASA worldview, which is it gives us that bigger perspective. This is one of those places where why do we have snow in the place that it does? Now you can explore that here on this website. It might be these things called atmospheric rivers, right? Where the clouds we can see the pattern, and we can actually see there are certain areas that are getting more moisture on them or not. But one of the things that we always have a challenge with is that white thing a cloud, or is that white thing snow on the ground? Okay, so this is where your observations can really help us to see this difference right here and know whether we're looking at snow on the ground, like you can see here where you can, there's some patterns, there's some texture that is different than when we go over and see clouds up in the sky, which again, this is one of those things that you spend enough time and you can start to see these patterns, recognize these patterns. But again, one of the reasons why we're doing this is because you can actually see that snow reflect off of the surface when there's no tree leaves on there. If there's tree leaves, we have a hard time seeing what's on the ground. So I invite you to help us understand what the snow is doing in your area, and we'll be looking at that. And one thing that Brian has always mentioned to me in here is this is a global question. And so, if you do not have snow like these students do in this picture, you actually recording what it looks like, the greenness of your location is what we want to know, because we need that contrast, right? Where is that snow line? Who's experiencing snow in the GLOBE community and who is not? So with that, I invite you to keep doing these doing the green up, green down observations, and help us just do a rapid assessment here in between with our snow view during this month of February. So thanks for joining us today. And I'm really excited to talk about this different way that you might interact with trees in your environment and our Trees Around the Globe student research campaign.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Does my microphone still sound weird?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, just wasn't sure what's going on there. Yeah, thank you, Peter, for that. And we're really looking forward to next month's webinar, where we focus more in depth, pun intended, of SnowView IOP for February 2025. So as I put in the comment section, you can see that there is a link to that. I put a link to the GLOBE link there, and feel free to take a look at that at any time. So you will receive an email within a day or so with the information where you can see the recording of this webinar. So thank you all for that, for presenting today. And please join us next month. And you will also receive, if you are on the listserv, you will receive an email with that information. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much to the teachers and students for presenting. Thank you for Lenka for presenting all about the fall 2024 fall campaign, the European Phenology campaign. And thank you to Peter Falcon for leading the question and answer sessions for each one of the presentations. And thank you, Peter, for wrapping it up with the SnowView intensive observation period. Until next month, be safe, be warm. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.